Hello y'all! Welcome back to another video dedicated to help you break out of the cycle of toxic behaviors and relationships in your romantic area of your life. My name is Coach Jeanette from @Jeanette.xzito, and if you like anything personal development or healthy relationships, make sure you hit subscribe and join the tribe. In this video, we're going to be talking about chronic procrastination, and if you're watching this video right now instead of doing work, you are productively procrastinating, which means you tend to do small tasks like watching productivity videos, running small errands, or cleaning your room instead of the actual work that you need to do. Because these smaller tasks make you feel productive when in reality you're just avoiding what you have to do. And no, I'm not just gonna call you out for the rest of the video. Let me tell you why you're doing this in the first place so you can get to the root of the issue and break this cycle. Because although you're productively procrastinating, I'm gonna let it slide because I know you're here because you're ready to stop making excuses for yourself. You most likely have goals, ambitions that you really want to accomplish, but for some reason, this pattern and work ethic of procrastinating is not letting you get there. Because as a former chronic procrastinator, I know how defeating it can feel to have all these good ideas that you think is going to be great, but not actually do anything about it. And one of my favorite excuses I used to use all the time was that I'm just great at working under pressure. And comment down below if that sounds like you. But I'll tell you something that it took me so long to realize, which is this mindset was only reinforcing my bad behaviors. Because back when I was in school and I did things last minute but still got an A, I thought to myself, well, if I still get an A regardless if I do it last minute versus a couple days earlier, why would I bother doing it earlier? And when I had small errands and chores I had to do at home, I was like, what's the difference between doing it now versus later? It's still gonna get done. But this mindset doesn't work if you're trying to go on your healing journey. You have a big goal and mission that you deep down want to accomplish. Maybe it's building a business, maybe it's becoming a YouTuber, maybe it's a passion project that you have. Chronically procrastinating is not going to have a sustainable work ethic for you, and you're gonna find yourself most likely burning out. And if you haven't burnt out already from chronically procrastinating, it's gonna come soon. So don't wait till that day comes. But not only this, whenever you're procrastinating, you feel a lot more pressured, you feel rushed, you might even feel overwhelmed, and you're forced to be pushed into this fight or fight mode where you're just trying to get the thing done. And not only this, but you actually don't get to put out your best work. And you allow yourself to make the excuse of, well, if I get a lower grade or if it doesn't come out the way I want it to, it's okay because I didn't put as much effort as I could anyways. Now, some of us procrastinate because we have a deep subconscious fear of not feeling like we're good enough or whatever we're doing is never going to be good enough. Which is why we procrastinate, because if we were to actually give our best effort and not procrastinate, what if our best work is still not enough? And so to avoid that pain and potential truth, we tell ourselves, well, I didn't even try my best anyways, so it's okay if I didn't make it. And it can be hard to admit this, but if you actually let your ego aside and allow yourself to learn and grow from this, then you can break the cycle of procrastination. You have to figure out what's driving that procrastination, what's going on underneath, so that you can get to the root of the issue and break that cycle. So in my experience working with all my clients and being a former chronic procrastinator myself, there are usually 4 common drivers of procrastination, which is number 1, fear of failure. Number 2, your perfectionism. So you want to have things perfect. You fear making mistakes. Number 3, you're uninterested in what you're doing. You feel bored when you do it. And number 4, high expectations, which means either someone else or you're giving yourself such a high expectation to accomplish all these things that you end up not accomplishing anything because you're too overwhelmed with all these things that you put on your plate. Now, I talk about these drivers with my clients in depth, so if you're interested in knowing which one specifically resonates with you, having solutions to break this cycle, then make sure you click the link in my description below and you can book a one-on-one call and we'll talk about it a lot more in depth. But generally speaking, most of us put way too much pressure on doing this thing a specific way, or you feel like the task that you're doing is way bigger than it actually is, which causes you to feel overwhelmed and then procrastinate so that you can feel better. So maybe you end up watching Netflix instead, or you're calling your friend or doing something else like watching this video. So essentially you don't have to deal with those emotions that are associated with that task. And consciously, we don't recognize this. We think that we just have a time management issue. And we tell ourselves like, we don't feel like doing it right now. But if you listen to that statement correctly, that feel part indicates to us that procrastination is actually an emotional management issue. Of course, time is a factor in completing your work, but the root of the issue is being able to manage your emotions so you don't end up avoiding the task that you need to do. So when it comes to managing your emotions, of course, we can talk about how to healthily process your emotions, how to self-soothe. However, today I want to be talking about Chaplin's chart of the flow channel. So if you're looking at this chart right now, this is a visual representation of where you want to be so you can actively be in that flow state of work and actually enjoy what you're doing. And what this flow state feels like is most commonly described as feeling in the zone. So back when I was in school, I used to hate writing essays. But I do remember there were moments where sometimes I would be writing paragraphs after paragraphs just being in the zone. And I was so scared to stop, so I would do it for 3 to 4 hours straight without taking breaks because I was scared that if I wasn't in this flow state, then I'm not gonna write the essay and I'm gonna end up procrastinating. And while I don't recommend doing things in chunks at hours at a time, because study shows you memorize things a lot better when you break it down and you're also a lot more productive. But I also believe that sometimes you are the most creative when you can be in that flow state. And it's a balance, right? You don't always want to force yourself to do hours of work and then all of a sudden do the complete opposite, like that all or nothing mindset. But when you think about what the optimal mindset and setting for working is this chart right here, which essentially shows you why people end up procrastinating or giving up. So you can see here it's separated by challenge and skill. And if the challenge is too high for your skill set, you're gonna feel frustrated and you're gonna think it's too hard, which ends up making you give up. But if the challenge is too low and you have an ample amount of skill set for the thing that you're doing, you're gonna think that the task is too easy and feel like it's boring. And just like Goldilocks, the way you get into the flow state is having it be just right, where the challenge is not too hard and not too easy, and the skill set is just in your range where you have a little bit of a challenge and you have to learn from it, but it's not too hard to the point where you're just frustrated and feel like you can't figure it out. So if you master this and you understand how to break the task down or amplify it to make it into this task that's just challenging enough, you're going to find yourself enjoying working a lot more. Now, we talked a lot about this flow state and procrastination and why you procrastinate in the first place. But moving forward, I want you to start being conscious of these 3 things so that you can catch yourself and break out of the cycle of procrastination, which is number 1, stop guilting yourself whenever you don't accomplish something, because that is only fueling the cycle. Guilting yourself is only giving you a false sense of security where you're telling your brain, if I feel bad enough, then I'm gonna remember not to do this again, when in reality, it just does the complete opposite. And so number 2, instead of guilting yourself, notice and acknowledge the emotion and figure out what is going on underneath. Which of the 4 drivers does it resonate with, and implement a strategy to help you to self-soothe. And number 3, break down the task or amplify it so you have a better chance of working during that flow state. This way you have a more sustainable work ethic. But I hope this helped, and comment down below which of the 4 drivers resonated with you. Comment down below if there's any other questions you have. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Saturday for our next week's video. As always, you got this.